yes, we of course when you're privileged, we enjoy a certain lifestyle. I have to admit that. Also yang paling penting adalah when somebody is privileged, jangan sampai jadi entitled ya. Terus jangan pernah merasa it's yours. Seriously, it's not. It's not.
Kak Grace pernah gak sih ngerasa lost atau unsure about your career and your path?
So many times.
So many times. Hi curious people, welcome again to Spotlight. This time we're gonna be talking about navigating your 20s. Waktu di umur 20-an tuh menurut aku benar-benar waktu self-discovery. Benar-benar waktu dimana mungkin kalian pelan-pelan mencari jati diri dan sekalian juga membangun karir. Dan kombinasinya juga gitu, karir apa sih yang sebenarnya terasa paling otentik gitu. Karir yang benar-benar milik kamu dan punya kamu. And so today that's exactly what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about carving your path and really owning your identity. And to talk about this with me, I have Kak Grace Tahir. Hello, Kak.
Hello.
Hi, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Kak Grace, you have a lot of roles.
Sure.
So I'm just gonna read some of them out. You're a content creator. You're founder of Everest Media. You're also a working mother.
Yes.
And you are also commissioner of Mayapada Hospital. Out of all these identities, yang mana yang paling lekat today?
Mom kali ya.
Mom ya?
Yeah. Yeah, no matter what ya, I think at the end of the day
Closest to your heart ya?
Yeah, and actually you work for your children kan. Jadi in the sense, mom.
Okay, so that's the core and then everything else is there too. Okay, Kak. So one thing I want to talk about today is also your personal roots and your sense of identity. Mungkin banyak dari kita semua pasti kalau membentuk identitas tuh salah satunya dari keluarga dan juga lingkungan kita. Dan dari lingkungan dan keluarga tuh kadang-kadang mungkin ada ekspektasi atau ada legacy atau ada obligasi gitu kan ya. I think everyone experiences that to some extent, but I think with you and your family there's even more of that gitu. That sense of legacy, that sense of something being passed on and carried forward gitu. Kalau buat Kak Grace growing up, was that a source of pressure at all? How did you manage?
I never thought of it as a pressure, right? Because I think my dad never said, oh, this is what you have to do, and
Nggak pernah ya?
not necessarily in such straight ways, but I think we all know that we will continue whatever that he's doing, gonna help him in a sense, right? I think family business in the sense, in Chinese culture at least, is like we're helping our parents, but actually from the parents that they're helping us, right? So we feel like we're helping each other.
Ada mutualisme di situ ya?
Exactly, right? But so again, my dad never said, oh, one day you will do this, you will do that. No, but he did guide us, like me and my siblings, to that path to become business people. So I would not say there's like
ada pressure yang spesifik gitu ya.
Exactly, but I think there's my own pressure to always have to try to impress him or to make him happy, to make him proud. I think all children, they have that kind of feeling, no? Doesn't matter who you are, right?
Iya. Dan itu manifestasinya kemana tuh? Penasaran? Apakah jadi kayak ke sekolah, kayak pengen nilainya bagus terus kah? Atau justru ayah nih sukanya bisnis, jadi I have to perform di sisi bisnis. I'm just curious kalau misalnya ada dimensi-dimensi tertentu yang jadi
kayaknya semuanya ya.
Semuanya.
Tapi maksudnya bukan jadi kayak perfection ya. Cuma ada kesannya kayaknya everything I do tuh kayaknya always thinking like, okay, what would my parents think about what I'm doing?
To this day? Atau?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Tapi kayaknya again, I don't think it's unique to me. I feel like a lot of children until even they're already so old at my age, like for example right now, kayaknya always ada kesan terus kayaknya harus bikin orang tuanya bangga gitu loh.
Iya.
Bener? I mean, for you yourself, no?
Pasti sih, pasti. Dan sebenarnya kalau kita ngomongin rasa bangga itu menurut aku masih positif sih. Asal maksudnya it's not some kayak negative pressure gitu kan jadinya.
Right,
gitu.
right. Yeah, having said that though, I mean, I just want to point this out that karena kita kan dari siblings ya, in a sense, kita kan ada asumsi, okay, we're gonna do family business. Jadi for the longest time, because just now your introduction, you said finding your identity in your 20s, right?
Yeah.
Tapi for me at least, kayak ada rasa takut because kayaknya udah langsung kebiasa masuk dalam family business. Jadi to become an entrepreneur on your own itu ada rasa takut banget. So I'm actually a very risk averse person.
Even though your family is one,
justru karena itu. Justru karena itu. Kayak kita takutnya nih kalau kita do something, takutnya malah nanti kayak quote unquote
menghancurkan
atau something like that gitu loh. Jadi that feeling ada.
Karena mungkin ada elemen, ada sesuatu yang harus diprotect gitu kan. Ada legacy yang harus diprotect.
Something to lose ya mungkin ya.
There's something to lose.
Yes.
And there are people you have to protect as well.
Iya. Dan ada image kesannya juga, ada image ya kesannya kayaknya jangan sampai mengecewakan atau gimana gitu loh.
Oh, oke. Oke. Makanya aku penasaran deh pada saat tumbuh besar misalnya ya dengan identitas keluarga yang cukup kental. Did you ever feel like you wanted to carve your own path at all? Pernah nggak ada ambisi kayak pengen ngapain gitu sendiri?
Pengen sekali. Dari kecil betulnya.
Dari kecil?
I've said it many times since I was in grade 1 SD1. Sutradara film. Tapi kan my dad kan, especially zaman dulu ya, beda sama digital media ya. Kesannya kan bikin film tuh kesannya kayaknya something so different from what my family has known. Right? And then zaman dulu kan film itu kesannya kayak very small market and harus di Hollywood. So it's kinda kayak nakutin, kayak so unknown. Tapi dia tuh pengennya, their desire, cuma gak kesampean. Jadi when you ask me if I've always wanted to cover for myself something, memang ada. Cuma tadi saya bilang karena in my 20s and 30s ada rasa takut gitu loh. Jadi gak berani ngapa-ngapain aja.
Jadi justru in your 20s the focus was not on risk taking ya?
No.
Kayaknya karena di poin itu tuh masih...
No, it's just getting married, having kids, like the bukan rutin apa ya katanya ya, tradition I guess.
The milestones
yang harus kamu achieve adalah begini begitu.
Kalau sekarang aku tanya, apakah Everest Media is now kind of that part of you that's you?
Yes, very much so.
Oke, boleh ceritain sedikit nggak tuh?
Jadi sebetulnya sebelum Everest Media saya ada beberapa startup, mostly in technology actually. So anyway, tapi Everest bener-bener suatu kayaknya menurut saya kayaknya kok bisa kayak come full circle from my desire back then from SD1 yang mau jadi sutradara film kan. Even though in a sense I'm not a sutradara film right now, tapi ada kayak connection in the sense. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Jadi if you ask me right now of all the projects I've done, yang my own entrepreneurial journey ini, Everest is the one yang bener-bener kayaknya this is it gitu.
Oke, definitely ada full circle sih. Maksudnya dari mau produce film, walaupun ya maksudnya bukan spesifik film, tapi you're producing content that people now watch and see and interpret. What is it about film mungkin dulu, and what is it about media now yang menarik buat Kak Grace?
Very good question. I've never been asked this question by the way.
Really?
Never. So good question. Ini bedanya orang kalau dengan bobot. I'm sure Maudy kan you are an actress, right? And you have watched a lot of movies. I remember when I was a kid, nonton film itu benar-benar impactnya zaman dulu ya. Ini kan like in the 80s I'm talking about ya. You're not born yet. Nonton film itu benar-benar impactnya, the emotional yang you can come out itu benar luar biasa. From the music, from the cinematography, the acting, all of those things. Saya sebagai penonton anak kecil tuh dengan sangat terpesona kayaknya wow, kayak magical banget. When I went the first time to Universal Studio di Hollywood, I was in grade 4 SD 4. Aku tuh benar-benar merasa kayaknya so impressed. Oh, this is behind the scene, like wow to me. So from that moment aku merasa benar ada magic in making movies. Kayak aku merasa movies itu benar-benar bikin orang itu kayak bisa di touch yang in a way yang you don't even know bisa di feel emotion begitu loh. But now continue to right now, I also feel like if you look at the history of films, bukan cuma entertainment doang, tapi ternyata bahkan bisa di propaganda tools like in America, like in World War time, right? Even until now digital media bisa di propaganda, bisa di influential thing yang bisa positive or negative. So I think like you're doing media itu influence-nya sangat luar biasa besar, and you should use that if you have the opportunity to do something yang memang you feel so passionate about. Like for me, let's say I want to talk about women empowerment, about health and wellness. That's my passion, right? So use the media. Where else can I go talk about this?
Right. Jadi film sebagai medium yang se-impactful itu gitu. Yang sekarang mungkin in this day and age sebenarnya di luar film,
digital media.
There are other things, digital media, even ya kalau buat aku Kak, music is so powerful too.
Exactly.
Makanya kalau orang nanya kayak, why are you doing music? Mau yang mana gitu kayak.
Susah ya.
They're just mediums, right? They're just mediums and ways of connecting and relating to others gitu sebenarnya.
I pick up the guitar myself, like learn play the guitar. My mom bilang gak main gitar, soalnya kata kayak orang gak high end, you know.
Gitu.
Kesannya kan harus yang piano gini, Asian banget kan gitu. You know what I mean, right? So I learned the guitar myself. I thought either I'm gonna become a star film atau jadi mau rock band, because I love listening to rock band, rock music, right?
You write music too then?
And not very good at it. I don't want to say that.
Wow, multi talenta ya Kak Grace.
No. But anyway, no, that's
humble nih Kak Grace.
That's always kind of my thing. You know, like what you said exactly. It's not just necessarily harus di film, tapi bisa aja music, like a lot of things, even books. You know, so many influential in a media sense.
Okay. This makes sense to me. The reason why you're driven to do Everest Media. Balik lagi ke family dulu. Ada nggak sih Kak satu family value yang entah dulu sampai sekarang nempel banget, atau maybe like a quote that your dad once said to you, your mom, that you carry to this day?
Actually, it's my late grandma. She worked until she was in her 90s and she just passed away recently. Dia tuh bilang gini loh, working is a privilege.
Working
is a privilege. Jadi artinya saya merasa kan dia kerja keras ya, sampai 90 tahun masih ke kantor. Jadi kayaknya kalau saya masih muda dan kayaknya ogah-ogahan kerja, even though I'm privileged, I don't actually have to work financially, right? I'm okay. Tapi kayaknya kesannya sayang gitu loh. Because I think you're given a job itu for yourself, you can be productive, you can be creative. At the same time, you can do something to help other people as well. Jadi kita tuh nggak pernah mau kata-kata retire. Because until God still gives you the way and the ability to work, the opportunity to work, kayaknya sayang kalau nggak dipakai waktu tersebut. So I always feel like I need to work, and I always tell I have 3 girls by the way. I always tell them work juga. Again, I'm not trying to undermine housewives or full-time moms ya. Tapi for me at least, I feel like working itu udah satu.
Right. It's a way you add value.
I feel so. But again, if I sit down kita criticize kayaknya, pokoknya full-time mom gimana gini. It's not about that ya. It's not about that. It's just my personal and culture, right? You said right. Gitu. Jadi my grandfather from my mom masih kerja, my dad masih kerja. Jadi kita nggak pernah kata-kata retirement gitu loh.
Wow. And would you say that that's just your family culture at this point? Kayak everyone. Iya gitu
is
kali.
Is it Asian culture atau I don't know. I think the Caucasians love the idea of early retirement. Saya pernah bingung loh. Ini kalau udah retire terus ngapain? Maksudnya setiap hari kita mau apa? Mau travel juga capek kan? Mau duduk dekat pantai juga lama bosen kan? Nanti kayaknya sayang gitu kayak nggak ada momen yang kita ngapain kayak sayang banget gitu loh.
Aku juga sempat kepikiran gitu sih. Karena kan kalau dipikir-pikir yang seru tentang kehidupan mungkin dinamismenya juga. Bahwa there's maybe a little bit more intense, exciting moments, and then there's rest.
Sure.
I personally struggle with the idea of endless rest.
Okay. Yeah, you know what you mean, right?
Kayak aku juga agak wah bingung gak ya, takutnya tuh kayak mati gaya aja sih gitu.
No,
okay, but that's interesting.
But I'll give you an example of yourself. I always admire you as a woman who's strong, who's beautiful, and also who's very intelligent, right?
Thank you.
So aku merasa kayaknya kalau Tuhan udah beri kamu semua all this like positive thing, kayaknya sayang banget kalau cuma disimpan di kamu doang. Oh, you're smart and that's it. Like, but you have to share, you have to help other people, you have to tell other people about this because akan bantu banyak orang. So that's my point. Like you're given more portion by God.
It's almost a responsibility juga.
Rare kan rare to find somebody like you. Jadi sayang banget kalau cuma stop di kamu dong, that's it gitu. Sayang banget menurut saya begitu.
Oh my gosh. This is really, really good karena aku pengen ngebahas konsep privilege. Privilege tuh I think is a word that has come up in recent years. Kadang-kadang dia berguna karena it's used to highlight, when unfair systems and when there's inequities in the world, and I think it's important to talk about. Tapi juga kadang-kadang mungkin mewarnai mindset beberapa orang yang kalau misalnya ada ngeliat orang lain sukses tuh jadi kayak ya iyalah dia bisa kan, dia privilege kan, dia enak hidupnya gitu. What are your thoughts on privilege and what's your own action-oriented takeaways gitu from that?
So I think you already said it, yeah. Then I have to admit bahwa I'm a very privileged woman.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about me? About yourself?
Oh, about myself. Sorry, no, not about you. I think everyone has their privileges.
No, okay. So I mean, like I'm very, very privileged. So I'm very thankful for that. I never complain. But at the same time, I realize being privileged itu harus ada sesuatunya. Benar nggak sih? Tadi saya katakan, when you're privileged, pakai privilege itu untuk lebih impactful dong. Maksudnya bukan buat diri kamu untuk hidup kamu enak-enak sendiri doang aja, but like how about other people? Yes, we of course when you're privileged we enjoy a certain lifestyle. I have to admit that, right? Contohnya kamu prefer ada ART, yeah, of course. People who are not privileged may not have that. So I'm not gonna beat around the bush and say, oh, I don't need ART, but I'm not doing that, right? So I enjoy a certain lifestyle juga, to be honest, right? Tapi at the same time ada responsibilities like I said just now. Jadi kamu kerja, kamu nyari lapangan kerja dan lain sebagainya. And I think also yang paling penting adalah when somebody is privileged jangan sampai jadi entitled ya. Jadi jangan sampai kayaknya merasa ini hak lo. Ini hak lo loh. Lo punya hak. Betul, it's not hak lo loh. Itu lo cuma dititipin, mungkin cuma sementara dong. You don't know how long you gonna have this privilege for.
Like
jadi make as best as you can during the time that you given this privilege. Terus jangan pernah merasa it's yours. Seriously, it's not. It's not. God gives and God takes. Simple as that. Always believe that. Jadi jangan pernah entitled, jangan pernah sombong. That's my point. Apa? Harus sombong buat apa?
Harus tahu gimana caranya ngelihat your privilege as not entitlement gitu ya.
Don't be entitled. This is not your hak. This is not your hak. You don't. I always feel like siapa gue sampai deserve this? Kayak hoki banget dan laki banget. Siapa? Gue nggak somebody yang so special in the eyes of God. Kok bisa dikasih? Jadi mau sombong apanya coba? Nothing. Beneran if you think about it.
I really like that. And I can't help but wanna ask Kak Grace, kenapa Kak Grace bisa punya mindset seperti itu? Karena mungkin aku juga pernah gitu terekspos sama orang-orang yang merasa ya karena dengan privilege-nya juga, lalu juga punya entitlement yang cukup besar gitu. Kan pasti ada perspektif-perspektif mungkin yang Kak Grace dapatkan dari pengalaman hidup Kak Grace. What is it that made you maybe think this way?
So when we talk about privilege, I'm just gonna say it's about money mostly ya. I'm sure it's a lot of privileges, but kita talk about money money lah ya.
Yeah.
Because I have seen so many people yang dulu kaya bisa jadi miskin, yang dulu miskin bisa kaya. Itu uang itu benar sangat fluid sekali. Itu kayak kita tuh lagi mempertahankan berdiri di pasir. Kita mencoba tapi kadang bisa jatuh. Itu bisa keseret juga. It's not stable. It's not like a wood yang solid.
Yeah.
Uang itu kayak sand, you know what I mean? So you're trying to get that, bisa jatuh, bisa naik, bisa kadang turun juga.
And you've seen that all throughout.
I've seen that. I've known people like that. Jadi kamu sombong. Nanti, this is my favorite quote since college. I remember. I don't know who said it, but I read it somewhere. Be nice to the people on your way up because you will meet them on your way down. Right? That becomes like bener juga loh. Masa kamu sombong sekali, tuh hari orang lebih tinggi dari kamu malu sendiri kan? Kalau kamu sombong-sombong dulunya kan?
I really like that. It's almost like the ups and downs tuh inevitable. Itu udah pasti terjadi.
Iya.
Gitu. Lo baik aja ke semua orang. Lo pokoknya jadi kayak manusia aja gitu esensinya.
Gitu. Jangan karena masalah uang
tinggi.
Lebih tinggi itu kayaknya bahayanya I think with anybody ya. Gitu.
Iya. I like that. I think that's really powerful. Kak Grace pernah gak sih ngerasa lost atau unsure about your career and your path?
So many times. Every day.
Karena aku tuh di umur 20-an ada sempat masa krisis identitas juga. I question what I want to do in life. Karena aku kebetulan ini juga kan Kak, karir aku tuh dimulai pada saat aku muda juga. Jadi di 20-an tuh kayak ini tuh sebenarnya apa yang aku ingin kerjakan atau enggak sih sebenarnya, atau am I meant to be doing something else? So I'm just curious, in your 20s did you ever have a turning point, or it doesn't have to be 20s?
Anytime.
Just anytime turning point where you ask yourself, is this what I want to be doing?
Yeah, yang pas tadi yang pertama-tama bikin startup company itu, I was already in my late 30s at the time. Remember I told you just now I was very risk averse, nggak berani journey. So I wanted to do one company on my own.
Right.
Aduh, takutnya setengah mati itu.
Iya.
Because it was a new industry like technology. Before I was in healthcare, right? Terus tiba-tiba suruh ke dunia IT startup kayak begitu yang I was so blind, I didn't know anything, I didn't know anybody. Itu benar for me like bikin kayak nggak ada confident, and takut, anxious, all those things gitu. Cuma at the same time interesting adalah itu very energize me.
Yang bikin keluar dari keraguannya akhirnya apa Kak?
I just like udahlah, kan aku udah stabil, udah punya anak, udah semua udah 3 anak. Emang I just wanted to have 3 kids kan. Jadi I was like 38 when I start my company atau 37. Jadi udah selesai dari anak kan, udah selesai udah burus ya. Jadi I'm like okay, udah semua beres, udah lebih stabil, like you said just now. Aduh, apalagi kok kayaknya masih ada sesuatu yang kurang ya. And I said okay, if I don't do this now, I will never do this, I will regret it. So I'm just gonna start. That's it.
Wow, okay. Dan abis itu you built it, and then you basically akhirnya you work on Everest Media gitu ya?
Yeah, jadi ada that one, the first startup actually was, it was so funny. It was successful in terms of free downloads and free usage. Tapi kalau suruh monetize nggak tahu cara gimana. Jadi harus cari down. Right? And then after that I did under tech startup. So I did 3 tech startups actually, right? So the last masih ada sekarang ini tadi I told you before. But then I said kayaknya yang tadi aku bilang kayaknya media ini pengen banget jadi that's why now it's Everest Media.
Oke, aku tuh ngeliat Kak Grace tuh ada media, and then it turns out that you actually founded a couple tech startups juga, and then you have Maya Pada mungkin. I'm just curious, do you believe that passion is something you find or it's something that you build?
Oh, I think it can be both. Because I have talked to one of my friends. Dia tuh kerja di family business. Dia bilang dia tuh bisnisnya adalah plastik. Dia bilang this business not sexy at all, you know. When she was put in a family business, dia bilang, gua ngapain ya di sini, gua nggak ngerti, gua nggak suka dan lain sebagainya. Terus tiba-tiba dia nyari dia punya bisnis itu, family businessnya, dia bagian HR-nya, dia cari ke HR. So she saw people who like, you know, started from zero or from like starting an entry level sampai dia jadi management. Dia merasakan the development so good. So now she loves what she's doing. Jadi passion can be also nurtured in a sense. Tapi for me yang what I'm doing now, I think memang like aku bilang dari S1 kayaknya.
I see. Tapi in her case, she kind of reframed the job juga ya.
Yes.
That it's not just about this specific field.
Yes.
Of plastik atau apa, tapi it's about building and developing people gitu ya.
Yes.
I really like that. Jadi itu lebih kayak reframing gitu ya.
Yeah. That was also enlightening to me when she said that. Like, oh, jadi you can find passion in whatever you're doing actually. Just have to find that one thing aja.
Oke. Kak Grace, kan kalau misalnya in social media tuh kita banyak ngelihat orang cuman highlighting momentum atau suksesnya aja. And that's just the nature of social media, I guess. Gak terlalu banyak proses di balik layar gitu. Entah itu kegagalan kecil atau keputusan yang sulit gitu ya. What's something behind the scenes that people rarely see and understand about your journey in building a business and managing multiple roles?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So when we did Everest Media, itu kan emang asalnya cuma saya interview orang doang aja pas lagi pandemic, right? That's how it all started, right? And then not making money and anything like. Maksudnya buat media company cuma buat iseng-iseng kayaknya, okay, there's IG Live, I'll just do that, right? Terus kan tiba-tiba jadi perusahaan bener-bener 2022. So awal tuh bener cuma saya sama partner saya, terus kita bener kayak orang bingung, kita nggak pernah di media business, right? So we ask here and there kayak banyak arahan gitu loh. But we are not sure exactly what it is. Tapi saya selalu pengen jadi Oprah Winfrey. Like that's always been like my inspiration to be honest, right? Tapi kayak banyak banget masalah the first year-nya because we were so confused, we were so lost, we were so new in this whole thing, right? Yeah, maybe I guess never talk about that, you know. And I think the one thing yang menurut saya ini banyak orang juga mungkin nggak sadar adalah how much work we put until now for Everest Media. And again, it's not just a hobby. I think people just think that content tuh bikinnya gampang banget loh. Bikin konten, lu cuma bawa hobi shooting gitu loh. You know, people like to
Itu bener
nggak sih?
Cuma bikin konten doang gitu.
Iya, nanti apa namanya bisa contoh nanti bilang ini, selebriti datang, selebriti kayak diiseng-iseng kayak begitu, but they don't realize that I'm actually building an actual media company. Ya banyak orang nggak sadar. So I hope with this kind of podcast people start to realize there's an actual company, not just me being. Bukan saya mau jadi selebriti loh. That's different. I'm not trying to be a celebrity, you know.
That there's actually a lot of intention and a lot of thoughtfulness and strategy and a lot of work at the end of the day. That that is behind the media company, gitu kan.
I mean, like, you just turn around this camera and show all the people who work behind the scene, right? I mean, there's a lot of people here, right? There's a lot of equipment, a lot of planning.
True. Tapi, you know, to be honest, I also find it hard to explain my job in media kadang-kadang. Karena it's like, how do I explain it? I have like a full team. Cuman di mata orang ya, kamu nyanyi, main film. Maksudnya it feels like an individual contributor thing. Padahal no, there's like a whole team and there's a whole work behind what we do. Mungkin salah satu behind the scene challenges buat aku di awal-awal membangun company as a founder and owner tuh gimana caranya nggak terjebak melakukan hal-hal admin doang gitu. Karena sebenarnya banyak banget tapi cukup distracting gitu dari hal-hal mungkin yang lebih prioritas, lebih penting dan lebih impactful, and knowing how to allocate my time properly. So what I learned is to delegate and create a system that's very easy for both me and my team to use, especially karena di creative company aku misalnya Mode Media itu kan hybrid ya kerjanya. Jadi it's so important to make sure everyone's working on the same space and everything stays organized and systematized. Jadinya aku pakai Odoo. It's an all-in-one business platform that handles all the back-end operations of my business, scheduling, project management, sales, dan lain-lain itu jadi lebih sistematis dan digitalized. And I can even check my product stocks directly karena udah integrated juga to some e-commerce platforms di Indonesia. Jadi dengan Odoo, mau aku lagi dimanapun, aku tinggal cek aja, aku bisa tetap monitor everything, give my approvals, sign documents, etc. on the go, and it's super helpful.
Terus pernah nggak kamu contohnya kamu kan lulusan dari Oxford, dari bilang Oxford kan atau Cambridge? Oxford kan, and also from Stanford kan, very good universities. Pernah nggak bilang ini, kok sayang sih cuma jadi artis?
My God.
Pernah nggak? Sering nggak? Gituin kan?
Cukup ada lah, cukup sering kan? Gitu kata-kata kayak gitu. Dan I think it's hard for people to understand juga bahwa sebenarnya this is also an entity. I know it's weird, tapi I see myself also as an entity. Jadi ada diri aku yang I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife. And then there's the Maudy Ayunda entity, almost like media entity gitu, karena ada personanya, ada brand partnerships-nya gitu kan. That's not literally me sitting at home. That's the entity who is an extension of me gitu.
Exactly.
Dan there's a lot of interesting work that goes into that as well, and other startups gitu-gitu. So it's interesting sih. Tapi
sama kan, maksudnya orang suka terakhir dia bilang gini, ini si Ibu Grace ngapain sih anak konglo kok jadi endorse barang loh. Maksudnya like apa sih? Saya nggak ngerti. Gue nggak bikin something illegal. You know, it's brand partnership because again, I said, you know, I don't get paid by Everest Media because it's my own company. I usually don't pay myself, right?
Right.
Tapi kan aku ada employee, aku harus bayar dong. Jadi kalau aku endorse barang kan uangnya tuh kan bukan ke aku, itu kan uangnya ke company-nya. To pay for the salaries, to pay for the team, to pay for the equipment and things like that. Orang nggak ngeh gitu loh. Sampai aku bilang, aku agak bingung dengan that kind of comment. Beneran jujur aja loh.
Jadi kesannya tuh apa yang berhubungan dengan konten dan atau media tuh kayak iseng-iseng gitu ya, kayak jadi side project.
Yes, ya kayak hobi lu.
Kayak
gitu.
hobi.
And yang paling parah misalnya they think that you want to become famous. Like I'm like I actually
Someone said that to you.
tau lah dari joking-jokingnya gitu loh. Kayak yang sebelah ini, weh celebrity like apa sih, aku bingung. Nyinyir kayak gitu loh.
I'm curious now. It makes me want to ask, what's your relationship with fame? How do you feel about fame?
Gini ya, jadi I remember I made that video. I don't know, some of you might have watched it. Itu yang pasti private jet. Okay, that was my first itu video. That video, by the way, I keep on saying it. Itu tuh terjadi setelah saya bikin PT-nya loh. Jadi bukan saya bikin video viral, terus saya bikin PT-nya karena gue viral, gue bikin PT. No, it's the other way around. Kebetulan banget itu waktunya sangat 1 bulan doang. Februari I made the PT, March video keluar viral. Okay? So the first time I remember kayaknya orang mulai kenal itu pas aku pas itu loh kita bikin meet and greet or something like that ya. And I was surprised, like people showed up. Dan mereka cuma aku mau ketemu 10 orang gitu. Aku cuma 10 orang meja ini apa gimana, atau banyak banget yang datang kan. So okay. Tapi I'm so happy ya. I'm so glad, bukan happy, Maudy, bahwa I'm already 48. At that time I was 46. For me at this age udah bukan yang penting apa. It's nice to be recognized though, to be honest. I'm not saying that's a problem. I don't complain. Tapi intinya adalah it doesn't get to my head too much.
Right.
Because like
you don't make it your identity.
My identity is not shaped by how popular I am and things like that. It doesn't bother me. But I can imagine somebody who's very young pasti bakal affect them so much more than me. Jadi in a sense I'm more mature. Jadi nggak terlalu get in my head. Jadi when people say hi to me in public places, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take picture. I have no problem. Like, doesn't really bother me. Like, I don't wear makeup and stuff like that. Aku juga nggak pernah berubah. Dadu kayak gitu, sekarang kayak gitu juga nggak berubah. Nggak perlu berubah buat fans because they expect me to this. Aku nggak perlu berubah gitu loh.
Wow. Yeah. I really like that. Yeah, I think with fame and everything, it actually helps to do this like alter ego framework also. Yang tadi aku bilang yang kayak I see the entity and the persona as something quite separate from me, and that way too you don't take things too personally, and you don't really let it get to your head whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Kayak misalnya lagi ada haters juga jadi ada tameng. Tapi kalau misalnya lagi bagus banget dan orang lagi juga kayak gitu, positif sekali, kita juga don't let it get to my head. Jadi either way, either way we're kind of protecting ourselves, I think.
I mean, I should share this story how I met you. Can I share the story?
Yes.
Jadi satu kali nih, I think a year ago ya atau gimana. Jadi sebelum ini Maudy nih, by the way.
Kayak lama.
Udah lama. Oke, jadi
kita di sebuah
toko baju. Tiba-tiba aku lihat temanku, itu tuh si Maudy bukan si Maudy, cuma make sure ya, dan jangan approach sembarangan orang itu kan. Dan itu Maudy. I've always wanted to interview her or her mom. You know, I want to get them on my show. Jadi aku langsung approach aja ke Maudy. Sorry, are you Maudy? And she's like, yes, gitu. Mungkin I'm sure you had a lot of fans asking you that, right? Nah, I just
like kaget karena lagi lihat baju.
Okay. And my face like very, mau dia? Bisa nggak Kak isolation gini? She maybe looks a bit scared.
I'm sorry.
Nah, maksudnya intinya gini, if I feel like fame get to me, pasti saya bakal gini, saya Grace Tahir, Maudy harus approach saya, bukan saya approach Maudy, kan saya lebih tua dan blablabla. You know, but for me like emang saya mau Maudy, saya datangin dia aja. Jadi when I first start Isolate Show itu, my podcast, saya DM orang saya kerja sendiri nggak masalah, because I feel like emang nggak apa-apa, nggak harus ada satu ego, who is he, who is she, whatever. I don't really, it doesn't matter.
That's what I keep noticing, Kak Grace, from this conversation is actually you're very, very not entitled. Then it's kind of the same. Maksudnya, whether it's money, whether it's fame that we're talking about, it's so easy to get dragged into feeling like it's your right atau you're entitled. Lo harusnya yang nyamperin gue atau lo yang harusnya approach gue gitu. Kayak ada superiority complex gitu loh. Itu yang tricky banget dan biasanya kadang-kadang terjadi dan you know I love that you're just very, very grounded.
So you love me approaching you at the store?
Yes. Dan ceritanya nggak tahu kenapa itu membekas banget. To be honest Kak Grace, aku tuh nggak langsung ngeh tentang kayak Kak Grace specifically or your background or whatever.
I just started at a time kan.
Iya, jadi aku kayak okay. Terus abis itu dengan berjalannya waktu, you know, I start seeing your podcasts or your materials, and I'm like, why is this person so familiar? Terus kayak Kak Grace, oh my gosh. terus akhirnya aku follow Kak Grace, terus kita DM-an, Kak Grace, kita bener gak sih yang ketemu waktu itu di toko baju? Ternyata bener. So that's the fun story. Dan akhirnya here we are. Kak Grace, you have multiple roles, but I kind of have a sense that you're like just very authentic.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully, I don't know.
You just kind of show up as yourself. I really like that. Tapi dengan banyaknya roles and identity ini, do you feel like you show up as the same person each time? Karena kan mungkin obligasinya beda-beda setiap role.
Kalau depan anak sih pasti ada dikit beda ya, nggak bisa langsung gini aja gitu loh. Tapi in general, I feel, but you can also ask my friends. Kayaknya saya merasa saya nggak berubah dari dulu sekarang sih. Like I feel like saya anti ribet Maudi. Jadi saya merasa kayaknya nggak harus banyak. Saya nggak suka drama, saya nggak suka politik. Jadi like
Itu dari dulu aja Kak?
dari dulu aja. Jadi saya merasa aduh kalau mau banyak drama-drama kayaknya gue minggir aja deh, capek gitu loh. Kayak capek. It's exhausting. I'm at this age, I told you before, like just be yourself. Aduh udah nggak perlu gitu-gitu ya. Aduh I don't have the time nor the energy, you know. Just
Okay. Do you feel like that's something you had to work on Kak? Atau misalnya gak tau kenapa naturally?
kayaknya nggak tahu kenapa naturally.
Naturally udah begitu ya?
But people make this comment. Ini Grace tuh kadang terlalu
cuek gitu.
terlalu cuek. Jadi kadang put people in awkward situation. Maybe like you in that store. In an awkward situation.
No. Not awkward. Memorable.
Very nicely put.
We're kind of getting to the end of our last bit of the conversation on meaning and fulfillment. Kak Grace, ada advice gak sih that you want to give to someone in their 20s who's still figuring things out and lives in this world filled with comparison, lives with this world filled with expectations?
Betulnya bukannya advice ya, because I really think like no matter how much we tell them that it doesn't matter, like you don't have to compare, it doesn't matter, but I feel like they will not understand that until they go through that.
Right.
Like if somebody said that to me when I was in my 20s, kayaknya saya juga gak bakal dengerin, gak bakal ngerti, because we have to go through the process to be able to get to that point. You
To
know,
really internalize bahwa it doesn't matter gitu ya.
Ya, cuma kalau saya suka bilang anak muda lah apa, please make use of your time. Like time itu benar-benar so fleeting, and especially as you get older, you can sense like, oh my gosh, time just goes by so fast. You're in your 20s, am I not mistaken?
I actually just turned 30.
Oh,
Udah 6 bulan sih.
Generation Z masih ya kan?
Aku tuh kayak sebenarnya aku di ujung milenial.
Okay.
So I'm 94. Jadi in some
Calculation
cases
gitu.
aku kadang-kadang dimasukin ke Gen Z,
Okay.
kadang-kadang aku dimasukin milenial.
Aneh ya, padahal saya merasa saya balik foto kamu terakhir di Stanford itu graduate, jadi kayaknya aku sangat banget waktunya. Padahal itu kan udah masih 20s kan?
I was in my 20s.
Iya, makanya time, like look at it, time goes by
Yep.
so fast. Jadi karena anak muda tuh merasa time tuh goes on forever and ever, but time goes by so fast. So if you don't do what you want to do atau what you have to do as early as possible, nanti sayang banget. So I feel like that's like I said just now, takut banget mulai sesuatu. So I start when I was in my late 30s. Imagine if I start earlier, more energy. You know what I mean?
Do you wish you had started
Yes,
earlier?
obviously yes.
Like by a lot earlier, like
Yes.
20s kalau bisa. Oh gitu.
Yes, I would have.
Tapi penasaran juga, jadi kayak balik ke situ lagi. Ada benefitnya juga gak sih starting in your 30s?
Ya itu aja tadi yang lebih kayaknya lebih nggak terlalu
risk.
what's the word ya, kayak nggak terlalu sensitif ke tadi masalah
Oh
apa.
iya, nggak terlalu mencari validation dari situ
Iya,
gitu ya, karena udah a little bit more mature.
Bener. Tapi energinya nggak ada kan, lebih less pasti, to be honest.
Tuh, look guys, time is finite. I feel like the 20s to move so much faster than belasan atau like the decade before that.
And yet a lot of people in their 20s still think that they have a lot of time. Tapi time tuh bener short, so please make use of the time as much as you can, the best as you can.
My mom says that all the time. It's like, you're 30 now, before you know it, you're 50. Like literally.
Not even 40, say jump all the way to 50. Okay.
All the way to 50.
All right.
Beneran Mot, mama gak kerasa. Kayaknya baru kemarin mama 30 tahun terus jreng tiba-tiba.
Yeah.
And apparently you still feel kind of the same inside. As in you still feel young, you still feel like your 30-year-old self.
Exactly.
All throughout.
My biggest fear actually is aging.
Your biggest fear?
Yeah, getting old. Not aging, sorry, getting old.
Is it that you will lose energy? Or is it like lebih kayak mortality, lebih yang gitu-gitu?
Lebih kayak physicalnya degrading. I know this is such a weird conversation, but anyway.
No, it's not. It's
Kayak
not.
off topic banget sih.
Tapi menariknya ya Kak Grace, my husband when he turned 33 years ago, dia kayak mengalami semacam krisis about
Physical.
mortality, about aging,
Iya.
about the idea of maybe one day like not having his parents around, of jadi kayak all these questions like came up to the surface when he turned
Ada about 30s ya?
yeah, when he turned 30. Terus akunya waktu itu masih 27 kan. Aku masih yang kayak, it's okay babe. Now I'm 30
Now
and
you
I'm
feel it
going.
too.
And I feel it too. Kayak, gak tau kenapa ya. Lebih kepikiran kayak, wow, people do age. Kayak, of course I knew people age.
Tapi kayak kena gitu kan.
Tapi kena, bener-bener aku internalize. People age, I will change.
Iya.
My body will deteriorate slowly. So
Jadi ini, depressing. Endingnya. Cuma. We're all gonna die.
time is truly valuable.
That's what I said about making people awkward. The conversation awkward.
Aku pun membuat jadi makin awkward. Aduh. You know what I think? Kesadaran tentang mortality itu tuh depressing on one hand, tapi on the other hand, it kind of gives you a sense of peace. Juga, karena kayak ngapain kita secemas itu atau ngapain kita sepusing itu
that's
if
true.
we're all
Gonna die.
going to die. And so it's kind of this wonderful thing where you're like,
And also one thing, because you have death, then you appreciate life.
yes. Kind of like two sides of the coin. So
Yes.
recently I've been trying to.
If you
think
hang out
about
with me,
that.
then you become depressing loh nanti ini. Nanti kalau mau hang out sama gue.
Or I'll find more peace. Ada two sides. Okay, terakhir Kak Grace, as a closing, if you had to describe what success means to you right now, how would you describe success, the word success?
I think success is achieving what you've wanted to achieve. So it's not about money, it's not about health, whatever it is. Kamu pengen itu, kamu dapetin, I think that's success. Simple as that. Anti ribet. My answer.
Iya, jadi ya subjective. As long if you want it
And you get it.
and
yeah,
you get
success.
it, that's
Simple as
success
that.
for you.
Kan saya itu pengen dapetin kenal sama Maudi, and then I get it, so it's success.
It's success. Iya. Oh wow. Wow, this is a really really great conversation. Awalnya kita benar-benar semangat, endingnya agak-agak filosofis dan agak-agak beautifully depressing. Gitu. I would describe it. I like it. Thank you so much Kak Grace for your time.
Thank you.
I really think pasti curious people yang dengerin juga banyak pelajaran yang diambil dari sesi kali ini. Thanks so much guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.